Are you one of those people that leave work but then still thinking about it? Like you still regurgitating that conversation you had with your coworker or with your boss or maybe with that annoying client you have, or like on a weekend you're watching a movie, and maybe with family and friends, and then you catch yourself that you're already not paying attention to the movie because you're already mentally preparing yourself for Monday and you're already dreading it because it's Sunday afternoon and tomorrow is a work day. My name is Lolita Gorin, and I'm a stress management expert. And I tell you in this video at least 5 things that you can do to help yourself to unplug from the work, okay? And finally, at least have a glimpse of the work life balance that everybody's talking about. But before we dive in there, it's very, very important for us to address. And now I'm inviting you to really start thinking about your life in your work environment. How do you approach work? Do you count yourself as a workaholic? And you're like, no, I'm fine. Okay, good. Now, how important it is your work? Because if you are still watching this video, that's mean you agreed with what I said at the beginning. That's mean you cannot unplug. And that's what we need to address first. Why you cannot unplug from work? Yes, and I have two groups of people that come to me. Some they work for somebody else, but some work for themselves. And those who work for themselves, the business owners or managers, and they're responsible for a lot of people, they have difficulty of unplugging from their work because for them, work is like 24/7. This is their livelihood. So, those specifically, I need to really coach, and you specifically need to do more of what I'm about to teach you so you keep that work life balance and stop stressing and help yourself with that burnout. Again, something very important that we need to touch of ask yourself what is environment that you grow up when your maybe authority that your mom or your dad or your grandparents, somebody who provided for the family, how they worked. Like, did they had shifts? Did they work day and night? Did they have businesses? Did they work 24/7? Because this is going to be a clue for you how you react to work environment and how you in your mind put yourself what you expected to do in the work. And or did you have the parent who came back home, the provider, and he had the weekends having fun, joy, and didn't even pay attention what's going to happen on Monday because he knows the job is there and he's just going to enjoy himself while he's at home on vacation. Or maybe your provider in the family, even both parents, maybe they were working, and then on vacation, when they even on vacation, they still be answering phone calls and trying to reach out their work and all that. So why it's important? Because we grow up in the environment and we learn from environment that you grow up in how we're going to manage everything in our lives. The patterns that you learn, how you pay attention to your workload, what kind of job you like, how you talk with your coworkers, how you see yourself in any work environment, and how you see yourself outside the work environment. It really is predetermined the environment that you grew up. For example, I grew up in the Soviet Union, and obviously no more Soviet Union, but the patterns are still there. We were like very big workaholics. I remember my mom and dad; they were very hard workers, and in my mind, the work ethic was very high. Like, oh no, I should be if I supposed to work 8 hours, I'm gonna work 8 hours, probably 9 hours. And to tell you the truth is, when I came to this country, I was such a workaholic that I was working overtime and weekends, and that contributed to my stress and burnout and impacted my body physically that I got ill. So I hope you will not get there because the time for you to change your work life balance thing is right now. Not later, not in a month, and definitely not when you are in the hospital. It's already too late to change anything. And for those who have businesses and say, oh, I don't have time for this. I have a business to run. I have family to take care of. I have this and this and that. Listen, if you do not take care of yourself, nobody else will take care of you. Also, how can you give to other people in the family, in the business, if you will be sick? So start doing this now. So when identify that, okay, now you know how your family was paying attention to workplace and how soon they wanted to come back home, how they behaved through the vacation, and the whole work life ethic, then you need to start identifying those things that don't work in your environment. And that's where we're going to dive in now. So The first thing, you need to have end of work ritual. Like, when is that exactly that you tell your brain that your work is done? Lots of times, people who work outside the work environment, and I will be touching about what happens when you work from home, which is very popular these days, uh, in the second tip. But right now, let's address when you leave. When you leave work, what is that you do? Because if you continuously thinking about your conversations, what you need to do, and you continue driving home and you're getting home and it's a weekend, is you really didn't leave work, right? So you need to create a ritual. When you say, as soon as I walk through this door, my job is done. As soon as I close the laptop, my job is done. As soon as I take off my uniform, the job is done. You need to really mentally tell yourself that this is the identification point in this. Where am I walking? As soon as I pass this threshold, this is done. I'm stopped thinking about that. And then when you come back after the weekend into the same crossing this threshold, you'll know, okay, I'm back to work. Identify something in your environment that you can physically remind yourself to do, like crossing through the street, maybe coming through the security, maybe coming through the office door, or sitting at your desk, something physically. So the more you will do that, the more you build a pattern that your brain will relax as soon you really leave work environment or when you come back. Obviously, this is alone is not going to help you. So that's why we need to dive into the other things. And the last one, it helped me a lot and my clients too. So I hope you hang out to the end. Okay, the second tip that I can give you, that what is very important for you to really implement your routine that I already talked about, is to change your environment. And like I mentioned, there's a lot of people working from home, and it's like, oh, and I have a family, and I have a dogs, and the kids come in the room, and there's a lot of people working from the dining table and in the kitchen and everywhere. So what happens is, it's your work environment in your house and where you rest and where you sleep becomes like one place, and that's not good. So I always recommend for my clients to have a separate area where you work. It's kind of like the same where they say don't bring a TV to your bedroom because then you don't really relax. But when you don't have TV in the bedroom, when you get to your bedroom, your brain knows, oh, I'm going to sleep now. I'm going to rest. And you go there. So the same way, identify in your workplace where this is your work. Like, okay, when I stand up from here, I am not going to come back to the same chair, to the same laptop, to the same screen, to the same area of my room or the house or whatever you live until Monday morning when I'm officially back to work. Identify that and create that. Take time to do that because you will see the shift when you're making that transition, when you're not working anymore. And if you already have a space in your house, leave me a comment below and tell me what is it and how long you've been working from home, and would you always would love to work from home? Because there are some clients that they have that love working from home and some don't, because they like to go and see other people, they like to actually leave that environment. So we all have our differences, but as long as it works for you, that is great. But if it doesn't work something, that's why we're here, so we can learn other things, how you can disconnect from the stress, the burnout, and achieve some sort of work-life balance. Now, the another thing that I know a lot, and I used to have the same thing, and I recommend my clients, is to pay attention about your thoughts and what are you paying attention when you're not at work. So what happens, you may be driving after work and you're still thinking about the conversation or about the report you need to write or about some other things, and you're still in the car and you're driving, and you go to eat and you're still thinking, and then you go to bed and you're still thinking. All of this thinking, what happens is naturally our brain just loves solving problems, and especially if that helps you to feel more in control. Because you see, if you are someone who grew up in the environment that you didn't get enough of control in your life, there was a lot of turmoil and people breaking the trust, and you were not really supported and validated and maybe even abused emotionally, I hope not physically, you will feel like you want to have more control. This is the control freaks. I used to be one of them because I grew up in an environment that my dad used to drink, and he would come back home and obviously would not be a nice place to be, and I was afraid what's going to happen every single time. So for me to have control of anything in my life was survival, really. And I grew up in this adult that always liked to do everything by myself, be independent, and I have to control everything. I need to know everything. I need to plan everything. So naturally, when I came to the workplace, I would leave work physically, but mentally, I will be still thinking about that. If you can relate, this tip is for you. Now, depending, do you like to write with the handwriting or would you like to just type it in? But I recommend, and probably you already heard, that it's a very good idea if you really taking just pen and paper and you're writing when you're on handwriting, because your brain really works differently when you just dump things out, when you write and you organize. So help yourself and identify that you will have like a dumping ground, worry parking lot, where all of those ideas that you will have, all of those contemplations and analysis that you will be having outside the work hours will be going on that piece of paper. So let's say you are driving somewhere with the family or friends somewhere, and then you think to yourself, oh my gosh, you know what? I think I need to call so and so. Write it down. So, or you're watching a movie and you say, you know what? I think I found a solution how I need to do this and this. Write it down on a piece of paper and dump everything there. Do not keep it in your mind, because what happens is when you already put that on the paper, you take control of things. That means you feel more accomplished because like, oh, okay, great. Also, when you write it down, this means you can come back to that. This means you don't need to keep it in your mind. So it's not like open file that you're not going to close. So that's how you dump out things and thoughts and energy on a piece of paper, and you don't have to carry around, so you can relax when you're not at work. And you can put it on your phone, you can put it on type it in the computer somewhere, but have that dumping ground when you put all of your thoughts. And then Monday comes, you go to work, and then you open this up, and then you can address all of those items that they were listed on that piece of paper. And probably some of them, especially if you worry about something, let's say you worry about work, what conversation you'll have, or how many clients you will call today, or whatever. Write that worry there as well. It's not only the things that great ideas or items that you need to do, but also put it on a piece of paper. Things that worries you, something that you keep regurgitating. Because when you address this and you put on a piece of paper, you kind of like, okay, I took care of it. But then try your best of telling yourself, I'm not going to worry about this. It's already on the list. I'm going to worry this on Monday. And what will happen is that you will allow yourself to do this over and over. So it will become a habit, but also when you will do it continuously, you will notice that, oh, it's successful. I can relax no more on the weekend. And you will find your own system that works for you better. So then you can relax over the weekend, over hours, after work hours. And then you can enjoy your life more. And this is when you can have better understanding what the really love life work balance is for you. And then there's the fourth tip is, and you probably already heard that one before, but are you doing it? Turn off all notifications on your phone and your laptop and whatever that technology can reach you, especially your work can reach you. And especially for those who just start working, it could be they want to show like, oh no, I'm here for you. I'm always going to be here for the company. I'm the best employee. And then becomes this tendency of you start answering phone calls after work hours or weekend emails. But you know what happens when you start in the workplace that you already doing things like that? People expect you to do. They start expecting you to pick up the phone, expect you to write a report on the weekend, even on the vacation. Are you one of those people who on vacation still have a laptop and typing when everybody's sunbathing? That's got to stop. Because as you know, for the company, you're just a number. You are not a number to yourself. So start taking care of yourself. Nobody else will, especially not in the workplace. And if you are a business owner and you say, well, wait a minute, there's so many people depend on me and I have to sit on my laptop and all that. Then always have a good manager, somebody who take care of it. But also if you really, really need to take care of that kind of business, Then do your work hours and do your vacation hours, after hours, hours, but have some structure, have a schedule, and stick to that schedule, because your mind will continuously be running on 24/7, and that's not really helping you. So when you have more structured time, and then you do those breaks, and then when you do specific tasks, then you feel more in control and less stressed out, because, well, you feel like you have a control over things, that they will not run away from you. But if you're continuously doing everything that skips up, any notification comes up, and then you keep on plugging and plugging and plugging, it's like never ending, right? Also, you need to ask yourself, why am I always running to the horizon? Why am I always want to please people? Why do I want to be always successful? Yes, you can say, yes, I need to keep the job because I need to pay the mortgage, I need to do all this. But then think about it. Do you know any coworker or any people who work only during work hours, and they still fine, and they still employed? Guess what? You can do the same thing. But if you have a problem with that, then you need to address a deeper issue, because if you grew up in an environment where you didn't feel loved and validated and just accepted for who you are, and you felt like you had to be useful in order to be accepted and fed and included in the group, you will have a big problem, because you will grow up in this adult that always wants to be the best. You're always running after trophies. You always want to please people and show how good of an employee you are. And that will never end, because the horizon is always there. So no matter how far and how long and how fast you run, you'll never reach it, because you're asking for that validation from a trophy or better salary, or somebody telling you, yes, you did a good job. But did you notice it's just like never enough? It is because you need to get validation from yourself. So at some point, you need to tell yourself, where am I going to end? Where's my job ends? Where's my project ends? And then reward yourself and give yourself that validation for what you already did. I hope you're thinking a lot about your patterns, the way you react and act, and after work, and how your vacations are. Do you give yourself permission to actually relax and validate yourself and reward yourself? And this is where we come to the last tip that I almost touched on that. You have to schedule joy. You have to reward yourself all that hard work that you do. Yes, you can have a vacation, but also, how about if you will do every single day something that you love doing it? So when you work through the day, you know that there's something amazing going to be at the end of it. I know a lot of people watch series, and yes, don't watch for 6 hours. I'm sure this is not like a Netflix sitting for 6 hours and then you need to really, that's not really helping you. But have some joy. What is it you like doing it? Ask yourself, what is that you have time for? And I already hear it. I don't have time for this. I don't have money for this. Guess what? If you will really start tracking where you put your time, you will find time for something that you love doing in 10, 15 minutes. You could. And I have a whole video about time management. And definitely, I will be very happy to help you to manage your time and your habits that has to do with your workload and how you can leave work behind. Schedule a session with me. Go to website beamazingyou.com, and I'll be happy to help you with this. But having some more joy not necessarily needs to be that takes so much time or costs money or even involve other people. You can have reading a book for one page for 5 minutes, or eating an apple, having a cookie, obviously in moderation. But every day you can have something that you love doing it. It doesn't have to be every single day the same thing. You can start with writing down a whole list of things that you love doing it overall, and then you can rotate them. But you have to reward yourself by the end of the day. Do something nice for yourself. Because, like I said, we keep on asking validation from other people, but the true validation really needs to come from you. And if you're not going to love yourself, who else is going to love you? And if you have kids or coworkers, somebody who's really looking up to you, that means you will make a difference in their life too. Be inspiration. Inspire yourself and inspire others to help yourself to be a happy, healthier, better self. So then when you have fully filled yourself with love and energy, then you can give to other people. So leave me a comment below and tell me, are there any of those 5 tips that I mentioned that you are already doing that? Or do you have another tip that you can give anyone who watches this video? Leave me a comment below and tell me what is helping you to unplug from a workplace environment.